Hey, League 6 Demonic Pacts is almost here. Now, I know some of you might be still debating on what relic selections to make, so I've put together a list of few combinations that I think are going to be a nice way to kind of go about and play the leagues, depending on your playstyle and what you want to achieve. So let's get right into it. So this is what I'm calling Eventuality. This is my build. I released a video recently called Static's, tentative plan. I'll share a link to that video in the description below to give you a full deep dive of it. Overall, this entire relic selection focuses around making sure you have benefits to all of the key skills and being able to at least max and hopefully hit 50 mil on each of them. If you do want to kind of achieve dragon and kind of have benefits to all of your skills, this is going to be a good way to go about it. I have Endless Harvest to fix the gathering skills. I have Hot Foot to fix agility, and it gives a nice boost to cooking and smithing. I have Map of Alacrity because it pairs nice with Hot Foot, and so once you get the agility levels, it's easy to kind of get around the map. I have Transmutation to fix a whole plethora of skills, right? But it also is going to give a nice AFK magic to 99 and potentially to 200 mil, which is really nice. I have Larcenist to fix thieving. In addition to that, I have chosen, Tehranwyn as my region, and so I can use that to fix smithing and crafting. I'm going to also be picking Culling Spree because that's the only skilling benefit option at tier 6, and it is going to affect Slayer, and Slayer is very important for my regions, but also to get to 99 and get to 50 mil Slayer experience as well. With Reloaded, we're going to go back and pick up Soul Harvest. Soul Harvest is going to fix and finish our prayer and rune crafting. And lastly, I'm going to pick up Minion just for the nice kind of utility. Overall, this is my choices based off of the regions that I want to play and the build I want to do. Definitely check out my video for a full deep dive into this build. But let's get on to the next one. So just before we get into the next set of builds that I recommend, I just want to share I'm really close to my 500 subscriber kind of first milestone. If you don't mind and you find my videos helpful, definitely hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. All right, let's keep going. So this build I'm calling Content Crusher. This build is kind of centered around for the people who just want to go and kill a bunch of bosses, do a bunch of fights, have a lot of fun, probably in the league, I don't know, anywhere from 20k to maybe up to 40k points. You're not going to be maxing all of your skills. You're not even going to be leveling some of your skills if you don't want to, right, in this situation. So this focuses on just kind of getting to the end game, getting all your relics and getting, into the bossing and focusing on your combat trees in the demonic pacts. So first off, we have Abundance. The plus 10 boost is a huge, nice boost. Also, Abundance is going to fix a lot of the early GP needs that you might have to buy gear, to buy runes, and stuff like that, which is really nice. Next up, we're going to pick Friendly Forager. This is going to fix the Herblore skill because, there's a lot of good tasks behind Herblore, but in addition to that, Friendly Forager is just going to make you all the potions and kind of fix the entire need for Herblore overall. So I think Friendly Forager is going to be awesome. Now, you don't get to pair this with like Endless Harvest, so you can AFK farm those herbs, and you don't get to pair this with Barbarian Gathering, and that is a consideration you might want to think about on like, hey, when are you and how you're going to spend your time. However, Friendly Forager with that focused Herblore fix, because you may not want to level and do farm runs, is a perfect way to kind of fix Herblore and get those prayer pots, super combats, and stuff like that. Next up, we have Evil Eye. Like I said, this build is focused entirely around rushing to content. The two regions I'm kind of recommending with this are Wilderness and Asgarnia. There's just so many bosses and so much content, and so if we're going to be a content focused build, you want Evil Eye to quickly teleport to the content that you want to be killing. Next up, we have Transmutation. Conniving Clues is a solid relic, but it's definitely not pertinent to the Content Rusher. When I say content, I'm referring to bossing and PVM, not clues and collection logs, right? Most likely you're not going to be doing most collection log things, and if you are, you're going to be finishing those collection logs from drops from bosses, maybe even farming pets, right? And so Transmutation just benefits so many skills, and it kind of fosters a more active playstyle. Butler's Bell is good if you're eventually going to get maxed or get gear or get potions or crafting or anything else, but I think Transmutation is just overall an active way. It's going to give you a zero effort way to get the magic to 99, and so you can just focus on training your melee and your defense and your range combat skills. Overall, it's going to be really solid tier 4 power pick. Next up, we have Soul Harvest. I'm kind of staying away from thieving at this point because it's probably a skill you probably have very little interest in. You might do some thieving just to finish off some tasks, but I don't think you're really going to be focusing on maxing because thieving isn't the content you're looking for. In addition to that, also Nature's Accord, you probably have zero interest in farming overall. Maybe you're not going to be picking Zaya as your third choice, and so there's no point in having Nature's Accord with the benefits of Tithe Farm or the Farming Guild. And we have Herbler fixed with Friendly Forager, and so we don't really need to dive too deep into farming and maybe just ignore the skill entirely, right? What's really important about Soul Harvest is it gives you an instant ability to get to 99 prayer, and prayer is going to be an important way for you to kind of, just have it so you can kill bosses longer, sustain your fights. Obviously, it depends on what your combat build is, but I think Soul Harvest fixes prayer for free, and so I think that's going to be the content rusher's choice. Next up, we have Culling Spree, and my reasoning here is because you want to focus on content. A lot of content is blocked behind Slayer, and so you want to get Culling Spree up, and then you can obviously go and get your Slayer maxed out really quickly and then go fight the high level bosses. In addition to this, you can also kind of pick your task amongst three. And so if you are picking, with the boss benefit, whether you're picking Wilderness or Asgarnia, there's a lot of bosses to choose from. And then you can kind of always be on task, have the benefit of the Slayer Helm. And so Culling Spree is just overall a really nice pick here. Next up at tier 7, we're going to go Reloaded back into Grimoire. What this will do is prevent you from needing to pick Zaya or Kandarin for the prayers, but unlock all those prayers and all the ancient magics that you may want for your content, right? This is all about doing PVM and getting access to everything, and Grimoire is a one relic solve to all of your spells and all of your prayers, which I think is overall very important for the content rushers. I still think you pick Culling Spree first and then you go back for Grimoire, because Grimoire is that utility. Culling Spree is what's going to get you into the content first. If you really want to pick Grimoire first because you want Ancients before you start doing Slayer, I think that's a really minor kind of thing. I would really suggest Culling Spree first and then reload back into Grimoire. And then last but not least, I think because you're doing content, I think Flask of Fervor is awesome. If you're picking bosses in like Asgarnia and you're going to do God of War's dungeon, General Garardor spawning 3 minions, you just kind of run in the middle, drop your flask, boom, clear house. I think that's just going to be the most fun to do with Evil Eye. And so I think Flask is going to be your play. I think Minion's also fine because Minion will auto loot and banknote that item. And so that's, I think, a pretty nice quality of life as well. And Executioner, again, I think this is a relic we've seen in the past. It's great for doing bosses, but I don't know if it'll necessarily pair well with all the bosses. The regions I've selected here with Asgarnia and Wilderness, there are very few bosses that have a lot of HP, like Nex, where Executioner is actually maybe slightly more DPS than Flask or Minion is. You just have to kind of look at the bosses you plan on killing and farming and just calculate the maximum HP and see if Executioner is going to be better for you. Otherwise, I would much rather go with Flask. It's just going to be a lot more fun. And if you just want the kind of utility aspect of the tier 8 relic, just go ahead and pick Minion. Overall, I think this is going to be your best play to kind of rush the content and have a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be well-rounded as long as you don't care too much about points. I think even with these choices, you'll still end up at a good amount where you can probably buy a lot of the cosmetics, but again, this build is completely around focusing on content rushing. All right, let's talk about Completionist Rushing. Now, I'm not completely sure if this is the best selection. I'm not someone who rushes Dragon Trophy or rushes for the front page. However, I do think some of these are the fastest and best utility things. And remember, this is, again, going for the longer term play for like maxing out all of the tasks and items. And so I think Barbarian Gathering is probably one of the most active, kind of aggressive of the first three options. It doesn't fix the kind of money you get from abundance, and it doesn't give you the AFK-ness of Endless Harvest. But again, if you're choosing this, you want to be actively playing every second of the day, and Barbarian Gathering just allows for that. Starting from the first minute all the way to the end, especially if you pick regions like Zaya, you can like chop redwoods like super fast for wood cutting, right? And in addition to that, you can do like maybe you can pick Asgarnia for mining and do Amethyst, right? I'm kind of leaving this up to you for your choices, but I think Barbarian Gathering is going to be some of the fastest XP overall for anyone who's kind of rushing towards completion. and going for that end game, maybe first page. I think it's going to be really powerful. Next up, I have Hotfoot here. Again, I'm prioritizing Hotfoot just for the agility solve all the way to 50 mil. It's not the passive XP you get from the boots. It's really the XP you get from completing the courses, right? And so just keep that in mind. It's going to be really important to have that to kind of solve out your agility to 50 mil. I think without that, maybe you can go Mauritania and get Sepulcher. If you are going to go Mauritania and get Sepulcher, then you can probably switch over to Woodsman. I think is probably the next best option. But again, I'm recommending Zaya so you have access to Wintertod and you can fix and finish that. Next up, I have Evil Eye here. And again, the reason I'm selecting Evil Eye is to get to the bosses faster and earlier. Evil Eye gives you that teleport immediately, and this pairs nicely with if you're going to be rushing to completion. You're going to get the quick teleport to the bosses, kill the bosses, farm your things, and move on. Another aspect of being a completionist is you need to be able to complete clues, right? You need to be able to have that 750 collection log as early and as fast as possible. And I think conniving clues is just the best way to do it. You can go pretty dry on bosses sometimes. And so sometimes the drops you're going to get from those are not going to be reliable. And so getting the conniving clues, doing the clue steps, doing the 2 clue tasks, right, is going to be really important there. Moving on, I'm going to be recommending Nature's Accord. This is both a herb lore and a farming fix, and it's a really fast 99 with Tithe Farm, pairing that with the Zaya region, right? I think Nature's Accord is just overall fixes 2 skills with both of them being really fast to 99 and to 50 mil. And this is why we're intentionally not picking Friendly Forager early on or Transmutation or Butler's Bell. And this is where Nature's Accord is going to kind of come in and save the day. Moving on to tier 6, Culling Spree, as I mentioned earlier. Culling Spree is the only skilling benefit relic at tier 6, and so you just want that as a nice choice to get that 50 mil Slayer experience early on as well, and so Culling Spree is probably the best pick there. At tier 7, now this is an interesting one where Flow State would be a faster XP rate. However, because I'm recommending Barbarian Gathering, Flow State does not speed that up for you necessarily by that much because you're already getting really fast XP on the core gathering skills. Now, Flow State, remember, doesn't impact just the gathering skills. It impacts a whole slew of skills, and so I think there's a debate here. However, the problem is we don't have a rune crafting solve in this setup, and that's why I'm recommending Soul Harvest. If you can figure out a better rune crafting solve, I know people were talking about Map of Alacrity and teleports to the Nature Altar and training that way with a fast teleport to the bank. That is an alternate way, or maybe using the Map of Alacrity to teleport to the Soul Altar, or potentially maybe to the Blood Altar. You know, I think there's a way to kind of go about it. Based off of my selection and my calculations here, I think Flow State will be faster, but not as well-rounded as reloading back into Soul Harvest. Because Nature's Accord and Soul Harvest are in the same tier choice. I think these are both very powerful for maxing, and so you're going to need to be able to go back to those at tier 7. And then for Completionist, I think tier 8 doesn't matter so much. I think Minion is just, again, the overall, on average, the best DPS for any type of situation, and so I think Minion is going to kind of help you complete any and all types of content. I think Flask is just an Executioner are just really not relevant in a lot of situations. And so those are my recommendations. I think if you're going to go Completionist. Now remember, I'm not an expert here, and it'll be really kind of interesting to see what the front pagers do in this situation. We'll just have to wait and find out. But I think this is an interesting combination, kind of rush into the end game, focusing on maxing all of your skills and achieving 50 mils and completing all of the points. All right. Next up, we have the AFK. This is the last kind of combination that I want to recommend. If there is a build that you're thinking about that I don't have talked about, definitely leave it in the comments below. I'm really kind of curious as to what you're all thinking about. The AFK choices here. So in this, I'm not recommending any specific regions. You can kind of choose whatever regions you like. Remember, when we're talking about AFK, we're talking about all the ways you can get passive experience. Endless Harvest is great, and it pairs so well with Hotfoot. You get passive smithing and mining. You get passive cooking and fishing. And then, of course, you get passive woodcutting. I think it's just the most amount of AFK combinations there. At Tier 3, I am again recommending Evil Eye here. There's no kind of AFK-ness to any of the teleport relics, but I think Evil Eye I'm selecting because it gives you the teleport to the boss, right? And so like if you have very limited active playtime, Eventuality quickly gets you to the boss where you can do content for a couple of minutes, maybe a boss kill or 2 kills or 5 kills, and then you can just teleport out of there, and then you can use the Eventuality to get back to that boss really quickly. I think Eventuality is the recommended choice for people who are AFKing and have limited playtime. I think it's going to be a solid choice for most of you. Next up at tier 4, definitely we're taking Butler's Bell. As soon as you can rush it and get Butler's Bell, you're going to generate passive experience and passive resources even when you're offline, right? And so I think Butler's Bell is going to be a great choice overall for most of you who are looking to AFK. Moving on to tier 5, we have Larcenist. Again, Larcenist is a great AFK utility. If you have Kandrian, you can pickpocket and get clues and pickpocket already knights and stuff like that. AFK your way to 99. If you have regions like Taranwin or Mauritania, you can AFK elves or Vyres, right? Again, really, really powerful relic to just kind of AFK and not have to kind of be active in your playstyle. Right, moving on to tier 6, there's nothing about these 3 relic choices that is AFK, so I think Culling Spree is still, again, the best choice here in this situation. It's going to give you that way to kind of generate more superior Slayer monsters. You can keep kind of AFK killing them. You can kind of choose your tasks, so you can choose more AFK-able tasks, right, which I think is really nice. And so I think Culling Spree has that slight AFK touch, whereby being able to customize your Slayer tasks, you can choose ones that are AFK. Aside from that, I think it's just an overall good kind of relic to pick. Next up in tier 7, we're going to reload back into Transmutation. No, I'm not taking this earlier. You can swap Transmutation for Butler's Bell. I'm just choosing this order because I think this is the most AFK, because it allows you to log off early on and then, you know, get back into the game when you want. Transmutation is going to be that 0 effort kind of AFK magic to 99. In addition to that, it'll kind of round out any resources you gather and you fix it up. Again, we're looking for maximum AFK potential here, and so that's why I'm recommending Transmutation. You can keep doing the magic training while you are fishing and cooking at the same time, and have your butler gathering resources and getting XP for you, right? I think that's overall a really powerful kind of passive way to train all of your skills and get, you know, completion and points that way. And then last up, again, I have Minion here. Going back to the recommendation for Slayer and being able to AFK Slayer, Minion will just automatically attack monsters and it'll pick up loot for you, right? And so if you're in the Slayer dungeon, you use a goading potion to get the monsters to attack you for 10 minutes. You can just keep killing them, spawn superiors off of Culling Spree, and then lastly, you can have the minion pick up and loot everything for you. And I think this is going to be a really nice kind of AFK kind of passive playstyle. Anyways, hey, thanks so much for watching. If you liked any of these, definitely give a like to the video. If you're looking for more updates, please subscribe. And any suggestions or any build ideas or combinations that you're going, definitely leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.